The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Planted with Sara Payan. I'm Sara Payan, your host. And today, out of Porto, we have João Mattos, who is business development for 8,000 Kicks. We met at Spannabis this year, and it was so wonderful. João, we were one of the bright lights during our visit. We made so many wonderful new friends. And you were lovely enough to send us some of your products, some of your beautiful shoes, and a bag. So welcome to the show. I'm so excited to be here with you today and to dig into some hemp talk.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about hemp. We do it a lot, both of us. Yes, it was great to meet you in Barcelona. I think it was Eric who mentioned us to you or something. I don't know who, but it was a very good idea.
Yeah.
So happy to be here. And I'm sure we'll meet in other places as well. But right now, you already know what hemp shoes can do, I guess. In this.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was before we met you, we were standing like right outside of the big doorway of the pyramid, and we were talking to some friends, and this gentleman came by who recognized my husband from his days playing with the Grateful Dead. And so he came up with a t-shirt, but he had this beautiful bag. And Jeff was like, "Where did you get that bag?" And so he's like, "Oh, it's 8,000 Kicks. They're inside. You have got to go check them out." So of course we made a beeline to come see you. And, it was like, well, before we get into that, I want to talk about that. And I want to ask you first, start out with the question I like to ask all of my guests. What was your first cannabis experience?
Okay. Yeah, so my first cannabis experience was actually pretty cool as a teenager. And it was something, it just smoked a joint in group, just a little few puffs. I was actually out in the nature. So it was a very interesting experience. I had heard a lot of bad things. I didn't really know all of the things we know today about hemp, about all of its uses. It was just cannabis, a cannabis flower. That was my first experience in the. That's where it started. But I guess with the years, there's so much more things that became relevant. That it's just funny to see how it started and where we are going now. That honestly, recreational. I'm not a user, but I definitely use hemp for every day, for walking, for carrying my stuff, but in bags and shoes, basically. But yes, that was my first experience. I guess you've heard that a lot. There was no big realization. There was some good laughs for sure,
Uh-huh.
and some thirst. We needed to drink some water.
There's always a
Yeah,
little dry mouth that's included in that, I guess,
exactly.
So what got you into working in hemp and working with 8,000 Kicks?
So it's actually a big turnaround. I was 8,000 Kickstarter in 2019. I joined in 2022. I had my marketing and advertising agency. Um, at some point, I realized I was doing it since I was very young. I didn't have so much experience in the market, and I realized, okay, I need to find something that drives me and with a higher potential. I want to feel like I'm fighting for something and doing something good, and at the same time um, have a ride like this, like we've been having, meeting all of these interesting people in different countries, learning so much different things. So I joined in 2022 when I met Bernardo. And basically, I loved the vision and the challenge that we had before us, and that we've been taking on. Um, and that's what's been motivating us in the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's You can do a lot of things in life, but you need to have some passion
Isn't
around
that
it.
the truth? That is so true. And you know, it's interesting because your shoes and bags blew me away just because we're looking at like this new era of hemp. Like, you know, before we got into hemp and cannabis being vilified in the United States here, we were looking at it was a major it was a major part of industry, whether we were looking at, you know, maritime or just like rope for use, you know, the cloth. I mean, even Henry Ford had put together a hemp car. And then all of that went away when we had prohibition here in the United States. And of course, we pressured a lot of other countries to follow suit with us. And now, you know, we're hearing more about all the good things that hemp can do. And back in the day, you know, a lot of it were like, a lot of my hippie friends were like, "Oh yeah, you know, hemp will save the world." Da 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 da. And you're like, "Okay, I kind of get that, but when I'm going to festivals and everything, I'm seeing more like hemp necklaces, more bohemian clothing, and though they're beautiful, it's not necessarily mainstream fashion." And now we're seeing a lot of applications of hemp where people are understanding not only the practicality and the strength of it, but the fact that it undoes a lot of the harms that we've done in the environment through industry. I mean, if you really think about it, if we had stuck with hemp back in the day, we wouldn't have a lot of the issues with our environment, with microplastics, with a lot of the things that we deal with today if we'd actually embraced that in the beginning. But your product in particular is really indicative of normalization because these are not these are not your Wook friends hemp bags. It's very different. And I think that that's, you know, it's a very and I have a lot of Wook friends, so I just think that it's just really interesting that it can be something that everybody can enjoy and just like the sheer durability of the material and just how beautiful and refined it can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting you mentioned that, because it's part of understanding the whole concept of the brand is understanding what happened, what's the story of hemp, and what happened with it. So when I told you about the vision that we embraced, that well, in the end, the vision comes from the fact that hemp is the most durable and the most considered as well, the most sustainable natural fiber. Um, and this is for a few reasons. So because it absorbs sorry, it doesn't need a lot of water to grow. That's why it's called weed. So it used to grow back in the days anywhere in the world, almost anywhere in the world there was some type of hemp growing there, and people used it everywhere because it grows fast, it grows again, so it replenishes the soil. Does not It's not an intensive crop that ruins the grounds. um, and something that became more important in the last few decades, which is the carbon offset. It has a great carbon offset. Um, but then the fiber that it produces is super strong, and we usually take pieces of these fibers to educate people on that. So in shows like where we met, like in Barcelona, um, obviously we find a lot of people that know hemp and know it can do textiles. But when we go and we show it with other, we are among other footwear brands or accessories brands, and we are the only ones using hemp. Um, we have this conversation a lot. So if it's so good, why haven't we heard of it for so long? And that's exactly what you were saying. So hemp was the main material for paper, the main material for rope, for uniforms, um, for ship sails, and it's been used for at least 8,000 years, and that's why we're called it Thousand Kicks, by the way. Um, and it was purpose. It was banned on purpose, right? That's what we understand now. Um, there were a few lobbies that made it demonize the plant and put everything in the same box as well, which also doesn't make sense. Industrial hemp is a different plant in the end of the day. Um, but exactly. So what our vision was, okay, there's nothing out there on the market made of hemp that is actually modern, that has a nice look, that is durable, but it is the fiber that has the most potential. And we see brands doing wool shoes, cotton, bamboo, using all of these fibers that are cool as well, but the
Mhm.
best one wasn't being used. So that was the vision, and was to launch the first waterproof hemp shoes. um, so I think those are the ones that you got as well, the Explorers.
Yeah,
Um,
I got the boots, and and they kind of look like blunnies. And then
yeah, the Chelsea.
yeah, and then Jeff got the sneakers, and they're so well. I just remember at Spanibus, you were like, Sarah, try on a pair, and I was like, okay. And so I did, and I didn't have any expectations, and I was really surprised at like how incredibly comfortable and light they were, because in it's almost like walking barefoot when you have them on. They're very, very light. I mean, except for the fact that I'm not getting stones in my feet. But I mean, besides that, it's like
Yeah.
they're much lighter than, because I'm a leather boot wearer, and those can be kind of heavy, and they're really, really nice. I mean, that was the day that we got them. We opened up the boxes and we were walking around the house in them, and Jeff was like, "Wow, these are so comfortable." And those have just become his standby shoes. And he's, you have those people in your life who are shoe fanatics. I think that man has more shoes than most women I know, and he just loves them.
I get him. I mean, especially working with shoes, you want to try everything in the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, but that's our point. That's our goal. Is to make shoes so good that the hemp part, in the end, we realize that it draws a lot of attention, but it's not enough. You have to make a great product better than all the others, and make it out of hemp, and that's how you prove that hemp is it can do what it can. So lately we've been going more into an outdoors, more functional, more travel direction with our shoes, because as you saw, the comfort is there already. The sit and fit, the feel is very good. Um, but now we need to take it to the next level. So we put on the step in features, um, different details of PU, TPU protection, rugged outsoles, using some recycled materials in the middle. And it's very important that we say this: there's no such thing as something that is 100% sustainable. And if someone tells you that, then you know they're not being honest from the top, because you'll always have to carry something to somewhere, and there's always going to be materials that are not possible to recycle, um, or that you cannot have fully recycled. So we prefer to be transparent. We start from the plant, from hemp, um, and we try to make it yeah, as comfortable and as durable as possible. So that's what we're focusing now: more versatile, more durable. Um, and we try different things. So you have the Chelsea boots. You see, there's sneakers, there's runners, there's different types of backpacks. um, yeah, we feel like the products are now speaking for themselves. So that's why I wanted to try the shoes when you guys showed up. I said I can say, I'm not sure if I think I said something like this. I can say a million things, but if you try the shoes, they speak for themselves at the end of the day. So this was the part that we wanted to break, was that hemp products didn't have to be only for hippies in terms of style and texture, um, and that you can also actually do something for everyone, because the more people use hemp, the better for us, the better for the planet as well.
Give the gift that everyone will remember this holiday season, the 12 J's of Christmas gift box. This limited edition collection features 12 premium pre-rolls from 12 sun-grown farms in Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties. It's the ultimate gift for craft cannabis lovers and a way to support small farmers in the Emerald Triangle. Hurry, quantities are limited. Reserve yours now at emeraldtrianglecraft.com. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and your company is out of Portugal.
Yes.
Is the hemp out of Portugal as well? Where do you get your hemp?
No. So interesting question, because Portugal is one of the main producers of medical cannabis in the world. It's the biggest in Europe, or the second biggest in Europe, I think, right now. But it's a completely different game. It is, the main challenge with industrial hemp and producing hemp fabrics at the moment comes from the fact that we stopped using it for so long. So we didn't develop the machines and techniques as well as the Chinese did, for example, because they never stopped using it. So we developed techniques for other type of materials, but not for hemp. There are projects going in different countries in Europe where there's some more tradition of using hemp, especially in Eastern Europe. Um, Also in the US, there's projects funding to create decorticators proper for hemp, because the main challenge here is when you see hemp fibers, they are very strong, but they're also thick and they have small pieces of wood in it, because they come from the trunk of the plant. So you need to decorticate them so that you separate the fibers at the end of the day. Um, and this process is not easy, because if you don't get this very good, the fabric is going to be very weak. Um, Usually, you say that the fabric is as strong as its weakest link. So if you have fibers that are not all the same thickness or all the same length, if the fabric is not wholesome, you're going to have breaks, you're going to have wear and tear. And that's something that we have been working hard to stop from happening. And in some of our products, we made it, and this is a big breakthrough. So I'm not sure if I know with the Chelsea boots, we're still using, we have to use a different mix of fabric, but in the Explorers or the Seekers or the Tracker boots, shoes that are coming now, we are using this iteration of fabric, where until now we didn't have any customer complaining from holes of wear and tear, which is a huge breakthrough for canvas shoes. As you know, probably cotton shoes and all that, with time you get holes on the flexing point or on the toenail part, and we managed to fix that. So again, this is a big breakthrough, and this is what we need to do, basically. So keep doing new things, not just doing hemp, but bringing new things so that more people adopt this product. That's the main thing. Yeah. But you were mentioning regarding the hemp, where it comes from. Now it comes mainly from China, because there's what we can do. That's where we can do this mix of fabric right now. We tried in different places, but not as good as what we have right now, because then you also need the long fibers, and the long fibers come from the tall plants. So this is another step. So in China, they grow the plants, and they do the whole process there. So they're mastering that process all in house, basically, and that's a major competitive advantage, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, I think, one of the growing pains that we saw here in the United States was, when the Farm Bill passed and it was okay to start growing hemp, people were working with consultants that weren't always giving them the best advice, so they weren't necessarily using the genetics that they needed that were appropriate for the industrial applications that they wanted. And then, now we're seeing hemp packaging and things like that, but it's still very expensive to produce because, as you said, we haven't been keeping up with the technology outside of China. So I think we have a ways to go before we catch up, and it's actually more economical to work with it, which is, I think, something that we need to have more conversations about, because the economics will catch up. But what we do look at now, what we can do now, is it's the environmental impact that makes such a huge difference at this point in time. This episode is brought to you by Fat Nugs Magazine, a global perspective of cannabis and stoner culture as a bridge to the rest of the world. Right now, you can join Fat Nugs Magazine, Beard Bros Farms, Freedom Grow, and Jailed for Weed in the upcoming Prisoners Edition and help spotlight current and past cannabis prisoners and their stories, because no one should be in jail for a plant. Find Fat Nugs Magazine's beautiful print copies at your local dispensary, fatnugsmag.com, and on socials. Cannabis culture welcomes us all.
Yeah, and what comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg? In the end of the day, it's the same. It's the same story, because you also need scale to help it being economically viable.
Yes.
But you have to start doing it to get to the scale. Of course, the more people do it, the better. But as you say, if we have more conversations about that, because I remember meeting a lot of farmers in Colorado, in the NOCO, which we've been there twice. It's a very nice little conference, um, for industrial hemp mainly. And I remember meeting farmers that were struggling with that. So they had a license to produce industrial hemp, but then they didn't know exactly what. Now they didn't know what to do, because who's gonna buy it? In the other day, who's gonna buy it, and is it gonna have enough quality? And then no one really knows, because this is not where we make the good quality hemp fabric. It's not here, so the expertise is not here either. It has to be developed. It will take some time for sure, but again, we see even some mainstream brands like Uniqlo. I'm not sure how to say this. I
Uniqlo?
think they're a German or a Belgian brand. It's
I
do
think
we have a chat
it's
that I can write it?
Uniqlo.
Uniqlo, I think
I
that's
think
it. With
so.
a Uniqlo. This brand, which is mainstream, kind of mainstream stores with it's not fast fashion. It's like Zara.
Yeah.
But they've been doing hemp shirts as well, and hemp jeans. I think Levi's or Levi's. I'm not sure how you say it there. Is
Levi's.
Levi. So has been doing again some hemp jeans,
Hmm.
um, which is interesting. So we see that there's more demand. The stigma is slowly being broken. Um,
I think
but
people are getting
again,
curious, you know? I mean, it's like, if I go into my grocery store these days, like here in the States, there's a store that has well, it's called Trader Joe's. And so they have like lots of different things there. It constantly changes. It's one of those places where you can get um basically like, it's like more economical groceries, but they have lots of interesting choices. Like they do a lot of international food and different things like that. But one of the things they have is hemp hearts and in a bag. And I always get those for my smoothies in the morning, since hemp is such a great source of protein. But like seeing something like hemp hearts in like a mainstream supermarket like Trader Joe's, to me, also indicates that, as consumers, we're ready to have these conversations about hemp, not only as industrial material, but also as um, not a supplement, a source of nutrition. Like really having these conversations around the value of whether we call it hemp or cannabis, the many uses that the plant has depending on the cultivar. And I think when we have those conversations and tell those stories, people lean in and they're fascinated by it, because as we've seen with the Industrial Revolution and monocrops and things like that, now people are starting to lean more in on plant-based living and looking at, especially like friends of mine who are cannabis farmers, like looking at how to be to not to successfully cultivate cannabis but not as a monocrop and be able to serve the earth, or even just talking about the effects of hemp as far as like, well, hemp and cannabis are both really efficient um, for cleaning the environment. They're bioaccumulators. So whatever you grow it in and around, it'll clean it, just like when they were, planting hemp at Chernobyl. And whenever I tell somebody that, they're like, "Really? They did?" And it's like, "Yeah. Yeah, these are the things that we aren't talking about." And this shows that there's a lot of things that we can do to actually change the environment and have better practices to serve the earth instead of having our topsoil eroding. What can we do to actually make our earth a cleaner, safer, richer place?
Totally. And there's many ways. So as you mentioned, I was wondering. So you're saying there's already hemp foods in the mainstream supermarkets in the U.S.
There are some, yeah. Yeah, and it's been really awesome to see. I mean, it's few and far between, but they're showing up.
That's good. That's good. I haven't seen it here. However, I have seen for a few years there's like hemp balm in the cosmetics area. Aftershave also from hemp. There's something, so it starts to be accepted, but it's a slow process. Again, there's a big stigma, and we see it when we're talking about shoes. In the end of the day, uh, I think there will be a perfect point where where this is not a stigma anymore in most of the Western countries, at least. I mean, because all of us and the younger generations have a friendly relationship with cannabis, I would say. So you can start conversations with them and talk about all of the other things around that are not just a flower. While with some older people, a certain generation is it's still a stigma, and they don't want to have any association with hemp or whatsoever that has a hemp leaf basically on it. But what we've noticed, we've been doing some guerrilla campaigns. So we spread 500 cannabis plants in Berlin once. The goal was to just to get attention. In the end of the day, it was to have people asking why, because these were industrial hemp plants.
Hmm.
These were not um, actual cannabis plants. So, but first thing we notice is people would pass on the street and just pick them and take them home. Second thing we notice is Berlin is a very liberal city, so no one was really shocked. We did get a notice from the police. Um, but so with this, we realized, okay, there is some acceptance. No one is getting mad because they see cannabis on the street. We did the same in Lisbon. We distributed, in that case, it was CBD flowers. We distributed a lot of them. We spread some plants as well. And from almost all generations, we had good reactions from people, which was interesting to see. Um, because we know there is again there is a stigma, but I think that if you ask someone in particular, uh, what do you think about hemp or cannabis, you will get a much different answer than if you ask in a group, basically.
Oh
And I know that
yeah.
that works that works the same for a lot of subjects, a lot of themes, but this is definitely one of them. So that's where I think the stigma is I don't want to be seen as someone who is a pothead, for example. Uh, Although I'm very okay, familiar, and even sometimes I consume cannabis. So that's what we feel that it's going on. And again, when you have these conversations and what we do in your podcast as well, and you talk about all of the foods, the supplements, the construction. Um, you open a whole new world for people. That's what happened for me in 2022 when I met Bernardo, and understood all of these things that I can talk about now, but I had no clue just a few years ago. Um, so maybe I should make this introduction. I should show you these guys. There's a brand from Austria. They're called Hempions. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So it's like champions, but with hemp in the beginning. They also have foods from seeds to even hemp chips, which is cool. They're cool. They're very good, and they're starting to sell in some supermarkets. And in the end, what they're doing is they have a very nice branding that is not in your face cannabis. You know, it's very subtle, and I think that that's one of the things that I guess we need to do at this stage, and we also understood while developing the brand, we cannot put a leaf on the shoe because a lot of people will not wear it for because of that.
Right.
uh, but you can tell them the same story, and if there's no leaf, you can do it. So I think that's one of the things, not being too much in your face, but going scientifically, talking about things in a different way. I think that's the way to go, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. When we look at like normalization, I think that part of that is, you know, part of normalization is people seeing the applications in their everyday lives and seeing themselves in the materials, the products, what have you. And even though stoner culture is a very rich part of our history and still is a big part of the social constructs around cannabis, it's only one facet. So really having that normalization, like, I can wear cannabis, hemp clothing, or have a hemp bag, or have hemp hearts in my smoothies, and I'm not wearing it on my sleeve. Like I'm not totally wearing like pot leaves and things like that, or I consume cannabis, but I don't wear hemp necklaces and tie dyes, and I'm not,
Right.
it's like there's, and like I said, I'll always say I'm totally not knocking that part of the culture. It's a very rich part of, where we've come from, and it's always going to be part of our culture, but it's also a very small part of the population. So for people who don't relate to that, they're not going to be attracted to the message unless it is put in the way of normalization, where it's like, yeah, this is what are the reasons? Well, as far as the industrial use, it's incredibly resilient and strong. It's an amazing, food and nutrition source. And so having those conversations without all of the accoutrement of stoner culture, I think does really serve us in many ways. I mean, yes, there are always going to be products that do that as well, because you want to be able to serve that segment of the population. But it's like, just like what we're looking at here in normalization with cannabis, we're having some really challenging times in the United States with legalization, because once we get out of the medical realm, um, retail is like, okay, so we're going to pretty much push it to the stoners or this certain niche audience, where there's this whole swath of the market that could be looking towards wellness and normalization, that would be much more attracted to it if it had an image that was more neutral and more about, facts and lifestyle rather than stoner lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and it's normalization is a good word, actually. It's not about, as you say, excluding that part of the culture, the stoner culture, but understanding that it's a small part. So,
Hmm.
for example, normalization would be us knowing, and this is a funny local fact from Portugal. So we are taught in school that there is this big king in the 1400s that planted huge pine trees fields in a certain region of the country that was very important for the ships that were later built to go out and explore, basically. The part they didn't tell us, and I found out recently, is that he also planted huge hemp plantations, um, that went on until there was a reinvestment in the 40s, but that was also erased from history, um, because hemp was so important. So the normalization is saying things happened, all the things, the good things around the different types of uses, the bad things. Um, because I think that if we measure overall, we can see there is a lot more benefits than possible negative effects from having hemp as a normal thing in society.
Yeah, I mean, and people can partake in any way that they want, whether it's, you know, wearing shoes, consuming it nutritionally, you know, using
Just
it free
planting
for,
or letting
yeah,
it grow.
or just letting it grow. Yeah, but I mean, like in Barcelona, we were, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a monument there that's got Christopher Columbus on it, right by the water. And
Okay.
when you look at it, I was, when we were there, I was like, wow, they have hemp leaves on that monument. And it makes sense because Barcelona is a port town. So how important hemp must have been for them
How
for
normal was
generations.
it? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And you got to wonder how, you know, because people who got caught up in reefer madness and, oh, it's horrible, and, you know, hide your wife and kids and this and that, because they were getting all this misinformation. But the people who understood how necessary it was as a material for the work that they were doing, they must have been taken aback, having it villainized in such a way, especially like in maritime. It's like, you know, I until we started seeing like nylon and some of the plastics and everything, hemp was what was always used, and it's still the most efficient thing to be used for, because as we've seen, you know, our plastics aren't going away and we all have microplastics in our body. Maybe we wouldn't have as many issues with that if we had stayed on the hemp route.
exactly, on so many things. And I think paper was one of the most uh, like scandalous things, because and maybe you could correct me. I'm not 100% sure of this fact, but I've seen that the US Constitution was written on hemp paper as well. Is that
It was a draft. And it was because so Jack Hare had actually heard that from a friend of mine, Michael Aldridge, who has been in the movement since the 60s. And he told Jack that it was one of the drafts, but Jack misheard him and said that it was the actual Constitution. And I think, wait, is it the Constitution or is it the Declaration of Independence? Let me see. I
maybe it's
think
a Declaration of Independence?
I'm going to look while let's see here. I love, we do our research on the spot.
No,
Yeah,
this is 2025.
it was, yeah, so it was the Constitution. The actual document was written on parchment, but the drafts and other documents related to the Constitution were written on hemp paper. So, I mean, you know, leading up to the final product, they were doing all their work on hemp paper.
Yeah, yeah. In the flags,
Yep.
the country flags as well. Um, no, there's just so many things. Um, let's see what the future holds. I think a lot of shoes, spaceships. Who knows?
I know. Well, I mean, we already see here, like, there are guitars that are made out of hemp, amplifiers, like, you know, the building, especially for people who have sensitivities, chemical sensitivities, being in hemp buildings is actually much healthier for them. They lead happier lives. I know
Okay.
out in Western United States, there's a gentleman who built a hemp house for his son who had chemical sensitivities, and every summer they would invite parents and of children with chemical sensitivities, the family, to come stay to understand, you know, the relief that they can get from living in an environment that isn't full of chemicals, because our building materials are so full of chemicals, whether it's formaldehyde, other things, you know, and that can really disrupt people, especially that have autoimmune disorders. So I think it's amazing that we're starting to have these conversations. And I think that the conversation really gets going when you have a product like what you're doing that's so it's fashionable, it's mainstream, and then people are like, wait, this is made out of hemp. Let's look at other things that we can incorporate in our lives because this is something that's attractive. It works well. I'm really enjoying it. So what are you going to be doing in the future with this? I know you've had some really great styles that have come out, but what are you looking at in the next couple of years that you're excited about?
So we're bringing. I have to say, we're also more confident about our products because of the feedback we've been getting. When you put a product out into the market first, okay, you think it's beautiful. Uh, we use a lot of Kickstarter as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Kickstarter has been a big part of our business from the beginning. Understanding that there was a demand for these products. Um, but when you put it out, you'll always find there's something that isn't just right. There's common complaints that customers have, and with our latest products, we've been very happy to see that we're nailing it in the sense that um, there's no again, there's no wear and tear, which is a great breakthrough. The comfort is just good. It's just there. It's right. The last is good. So, and now we launched the tracker in the Nomad backpack, which is for a more outdoors and travel audience. So what you guys can expect from us? It's to go more in that direction, giving you gear made out of hemp that you can use. Um, Not just as a lifestyle item, but becoming more and more as your functional gear. So shoes for trekking, shoes for trail running, boots for hiking, bags for, well, this is coming soon. There will be a bag. There will be a pannier, so you can put it in your bike. Then you can use it. Transforms into different things. I'm not going to say everything yet, but it will have a few different functionalities. But again, trying to align lifestyle with outdoors, with nature, with traveling, understanding the world how it is right now, um, and also understanding that who we are making this for. And it's for people who have a high connection with the planet in many different ways. Um, but that's what it is, and so you can expect cooler products. So you can go on every adventure with 1,000 kicks in the future.
I love it. I love it. And for those of you out there who want to see what we got from Joao, I have a video out on both the Planted Instagram and the Sara Payan Instagram, where we have the Seeker shoe, the Chelsea boot, and also the Nomad bag. They're really really cool. So you should check them out. I know my Chelsea's boots. I've been wearing them with jeans. I've been wearing them with my skirts and everything, and I keep getting compliments on them. And then when I tell people they're hemp, they're like, "No way! Let me check them out. Let me see that a little bit closer." And it's a very cool conversation starter too, especially because with my style, I live in a city. I wear all black. like, I'm not, I'm not a very crunchy dresser, and it goes very well with what I wear. And I thought that they were very elegant. Um, and so it's nice to have alternatives with fashion that are elegant, fashion forward and also environmentally conscious. I mean, like you said, nothing can be 100% sustainable, but I've really, really been enjoying them. And it really changed the way I looked at hemp fashion in general. And when we were at your booth at Spanibus, when I was wearing those shoes, there was a gentleman who came up who was looking at the shoes, and I was so impressed. And I was like, I love these. Have you checked them out? And he became a new friend. A shout out to Robert from Amsterdam. He was like, yeah, I've invested in them. And I was like, that's so awesome. And so now we've stayed in touch from meeting at your booth, because it's just, you have these conversations with people like minds and making new friends and new connections all over the world. So I'm excited to see, your impact in the United States, but also just all the cool things that you're doing in Europe. And I know that we'll run into each other. Well, we'll have to make a plan to run into one another at some of these events when we're over your side of the pond. So for
Definitely. There is. Sorry to interrupt
oh,
you.
not at
Sorry.
all.
No, I was gonna say there's some hemp events in Portugal, but if you guys would like to come out here just to spend a few days, just let us know.
Yeah, we'd
We
love
like to
that.
welcome,
We would
love
we
to
would
welcome nice people.
That would be
So
so
let us know.
awesome. And if you're in the Bay, you have to come see us too. We'll show you some farms and things like that.
Okay, I'll let you know. I was there once 2 years ago. I will have to come back sooner or later,
Yeah.
so we can get more hemp shoes in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people who want to follow you on social media or check out your catalog, how do they do that?
Just go on 8,000 Kicks. If you look for 8,000 Kicks on Google, on Instagram, anywhere, you'll see us first. 8,000 Kicks, KICKS, hemp shoes. If you if you want to be more specific, but you'll find our catalog on our website. In the Instagram, it's just the same as the name of the brand, so it's easy.
That's awesome. Joao, thanks so much for joining me today. This has been so much fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everything that you put out there and seeing you again.
Sarah, thank you. Thanks for having me, for letting me talk a bit about the brand, about hemp. Thanks for what you're doing here, and hope we can meet again soon, and get some nice vibes at our booth in the in the next trade show. Wish
Absolutely,
you
my friend.
wish you a great one. Thank you.
Thank you, you too. And everyone, remember, if you like listening, please give us a review, share it with a friend, let us know what your favorite episodes are. And if you'd like to stay in touch over social media, we are Planted with Sara Payan on Facebook and Planted with Sara on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.plantedwithsara.com, or listen to us on our parent network, Radio Misfits Network, where there are other great podcasts, like one of my favorites, the Winemakers Podcast. So check it out. You can listen to Planted wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, whether that's Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher. Tune in. We are there. So join us. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's a wild world out there. Be good to one another. Until next time, take care.